Thanks for stopping by. And today we are going to be talking about downwinders. So at 5:30 a.m., July 16th, 1945, the Trinity test was conducted. And that was the test of the Manhattan Project. And what the Trinity test and the Manhattan Project was the creation of the nuclear bomb. And they wanted to see the impact and what damage it would do and what this weapon could do to the enemy. And what happened was when they detonated this, it left a mile wide crater in the earth. It detonated roughly 150 miles south of Santa Fe. So when this thing detonated, it left all this fallout that was in the air, and it tainted these people that lived within the fallout radiuses, ranches and farms, and it tainted their food. It tainted their livestock. And when they went to go get milk and were drinking the milk from their cows were radioactive. The meat from their livestock was radioactive. So within a 50-mile radius, there was thousands of people that lived within this fallout range, very dangerously close. So you have to sit there and say, why would the government conduct such a test within a 50-mile radius of people? Well, these people are called downwinders, and the reason the government did it was because the people in the area were people of color, meaning they were Mexican, and the population was low. They were deemed by the United States government as expendable people. So what has the government done since that? Well, the government created the Radiation Exposure Act, which pays out about $50,000 to survivors from this fallout, from this testing. And it covers the downwinders that were just innocent bystanders there, but it also pays out about $75,000 to the people who worked within this radioactive material and who had hands on this material. What I find is really interesting about this is how the workers get $75,000 when the innocent bystanders who had no choice of this and didn't even know this was about to happen and going on, they only get $50,000. Well, the Radiation Exposure Act is it covers people, it covers their medical expenditures and all that. And the act is also called RECA for short. So what's really interesting about this is the scientists and these medical personnel are saying that it's very hard to determine that these people who were within the fallout range, stuff that have lymphoma and have cancers and stuff like that, that it's hard to prove definitively if the Trinity test was actually what gave them cancer. Of course it is. You detonated a nuclear bomb within a 50-mile radius of thousands of people. Now the government is trying to say, well, we're not sure if it was our nuclear testing that did cause this or didn't cause this. So it's just, I find it really interesting about this, and going forward with, the testing and with all that stuff that's, with all that stuff, it's very clear to see that the government does not want to take responsibility for their actions of the past. They don't want to acknowledge that they were wrong, and they don't want to acknowledge the racism that was based within their decisions. So they make it very hard for these downwinders, the survivors, to actually make these claims and to prove definitively that it was from the Trinity test and from the Manhattan Project that gave them cancer and stuff like that. Another thing we have to really look at is how still today the United States government really downplays this issue. I mean, I think $50,000 for giving somebody lymphoma is a very small price to pay. A very small price to pay. And it just really goes to show that, the United States government is very incapable of owning up to its responsibilities. It's very incapable. Here we have a very fundamental environmental issue that happened. This bomb was detonated. It created catastrophic environmental effects on the area and affected the people that live there. And you can't take people out of the equation of the environment. These people were just minding their own business. They were very poor people. They were people of color, and there was very few of them. And the fact that the government viewed them as expendable should raise so many questions. And what should raise even more questions is how the government continues to view these people as expendable. Anyway, as always, thank you for tuning in. Drop your comments, questions, concerns right down there in the comments.